Okay, now we're gonna see how to configure the unit. Okay, the first thing that you have to do is let me show you here. You have to connect either serial. I don't have a USB cable, but if you had a USB A to USB A, you just have to connect from here to the computer. Okay, but I don't have it, so I'm gonna use the same way that we have done before, using the serial cable here. Okay, like this. If you see the unit is off, but it turns on every minute, remember? Okay, so now here at the computer, we have an application called WDM, Witech Device Manager. We run it and then we open here. Open. Okay, so what it does is you can wait here at least 1 minute for the unit to come on, because it turns on every minute. Okay, so once it turns on, the software detects that it's on, and it's going to read everything in it and populate all the information on the screen. Okay, so we're waiting here, but if you want to do it faster, then you turn it on, as you know, with the magnet in front of the display. Otherwise you just have to wait, and you're going to see some information coming here from the unit once it turns on. Once it turns on, the remote unit is not going to go off at all. See, it's on. So now it's going to read, the software is going to read all the unit, all configuration. And I'm going to show you several different options that we have here. Okay, it's reading everything, and you just have to wait until here it shows updated. Okay, so ended. So we have all the information here. Now here it says refresh data every, I have set it up for 800 minutes. Seconds, excuse me, and you can see here how many seconds you have left before the software does all these again. Okay, that's because we want to update the information if it changes anything like analog inputs or things like that. Okay, this is what it reads right now from analog inputs: 50, 0, and 98. Digital inputs are off, off, off. Outputs off, off, and off. Okay, here you can see the voltage of the unit. We have also a port input for a Witech pressure sensor. That's a special pressure sensor that we have, and it's not connected, that's why it's showing this here. Okay, this is the temperature of the unit, and this is the RTD that I talked to you about. It's a PT100 temperature sensor. That's independent. All these two here, all these three here, are different from these analog inputs here. Okay, these are different here. This is the actual flow rate, pulses received here, and the pulses received here, it's the counter. Okay, it's actually the counter. It doesn't have anything to do with the K factor. Remember, the K factor, it's calculated on the YNet server. So here you just see bare pulses. If you want to change that to something else, if you want to update the pulses, let's say we want to update it to 150 barrels, which the meter counter has, so you set it up. It's going to ask you to, if you really want to do that, you do yes, and it's going to show you it's okay. Now it's 50, but if you refresh, you really are going to see what it shows here. It's 150. Okay. So this unit already has the counter in 150. Okay. If you want the digital output to be on or off, let's say this one, you want to turn it on, you just double click on it, and let's say the digital 0, you put it in on and set. It's going to ask you if you want to send that. It's going to show you that it's okay. So it sent the information, and if you see here, let me see. If you see here, LED one came on, see? Because we set it up to on. Okay? So that's how you place the digital inputs and outputs here. Now, how do you, I was telling you that you can, let's say if you're not going to use any, if you're only going to use analog input 1 and you're not going to use the other 2, then there is no reason for you to have the unit reading those analog inputs, because that takes energy from the battery, and also it's more data to the air. So you double click on that, and here let's say we're only gonna have analog input 0, so the others I disable them. Okay, do I want to send that information? Yes. Okay, so now I am only going to have analog 0. Same thing with the outputs, the digital inputs and outputs. I can disable them, and this here, and I'm going to send that information. So I'm only going to have those enabled here. The other ones, you're not going to see them. See? Okay. So I'm going to enable those because I want you to see them here anyway. Set, yes. And now here as well, I'm going to enable, and enable. So now it has 4 analog inputs enabled, and you're going to have 3 digital inputs and 3 digital outputs enabled, all of them. Okay, so here is also showing me that the SIM one is the one that is being used, and the 3G status here. I'm going to let's say that you're going to have the unit only using satellite, because it's a location where you don't have 3G network. So you don't want the unit to be trying to reach the SIM 1 and the SIM 2 before going to satellite. So you can disable the 3G network, okay? And you do it here. If you do it here, you can inactivate the 3G network, okay? You can set up several different APNs for SIM 1, for SIM 2. What is that for? That's because of this. Maybe your customer, they use several different service providers like T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, whoever, and all of them, they have different APNs to connect to the internet and be able to send the information to the Witech server. Now, you want to make sure that no matter what service provider they use, once they switch SIM cards, the unit is going to search for the right APN. So you set up the different APNs here. Right now we have internet one and ISP singular, but I can have many more here. Okay, so what it's going to do, it's the SIM one, it's detected, and then he tries to connect using the number 2 in this case. Well, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, but you can name them as you want, but it's going to search for all of them. So it goes to SIM 1 and it goes to this APN first, try to connect, because this one, let's say it's T-Mobile, but the SIM card is not T-Mobile, so it won't connect. So then it changes to the next one, and maybe the next one it's T-Mobile, and it will connect. So it doesn't matter if you have, if you change provider, you don't have to reconfigure the unit in the field in order to get access to the internet, to the 3G network. So that's very a nice feature that not very many vendors have for them. Same we have with the SIM 2. So we set up all the service providers here in the United States, and one of them is going to work. So you don't have to configure that, and you do it. You just add one more, and you select the APN here. What position? You know, the one is free. This is set it. So you just put one here, the APN user and password if they have. So they configure all their service providers here, and the unit doesn't have to be reconfigured for that. All right. This here is just a response timeout from the remote unit to the software. So it doesn't have to be moved, and it's fixed on 10, and you don't have to do nothing else there. The device, this is software, also configures modems and several different products from Witech. So right now it has detected this is a WMM1 3G, and if it was a modem, it was going to show you a modem here and a whole different things here. Okay, COM port, you can change the COM port depending on what you see